I'd like to do a little scenario here. Let's assume that I'm the CEO of a company that is a large merchant, like a $250 million merchant, and you are my strategic team. And now you have to convince me that I should adopt Bitcoin as a method of payment. So how would you go about that?
We talk to such merchants, and they need liquidity to cash out because they pay the taxes in fiat. So liquidity is key. They want to be able to cash out at least at the end of the month, if not at the end of the day. And that's why Bitcoin exchanges are a key component of the ecosystem, I believe. So that's one thing. And the other thing is volume. The price has to be more stable, and that implies volume also. So we have a sort of chicken and egg problem here because liquidity and volume will come from more merchants also accepting Bitcoins. But as everybody said today, I think we are getting there only gradually because payment is a sector that has a lot of inertia. So we have to be patient. The innovation cycle is easily 15, 20 years in payments. If you look at the history of new technologies, it's not unusual for a technology to take 15 years to take off. We're only 5 years into Bitcoin. So yeah, we have to be patient, but I would strongly advise the merchant to go at least in a pilot in next year.
So I would say that to the investor that Bitcoin is simple and it works. And it works in the way that most people think that other payment methods work. And I rather have a good story for small merchant, small business, rather for medium size or large business, because for small merchants, the cost of integrating credit card payments is so huge that the fees are sometimes prohibitive, and the risk you are exposed is just huge. And Bitcoin is a very safe option. Unfortunately, again, the adoption is the issue because for us, still, in spite of the fact that we are over 2 years accepting Bitcoin, Bitcoin revenue is less than 5% of total.
5%, okay. Again?
Threefold. The fee structure, the simplicity, and the most important, at least from my perspective, would be the freedom of choice. In the merchant processing world, if you're a $250 million organization, you sign a contract. You sign a contract with a payment processor who has a fee structure. If you choose to leave that payment processor and to go to a competitor at the end of your 1-year term, or if you choose to break that contract, you renegotiate based off of the previous fee structure that was put in place. To give you another option outside of that, that's not a predecessor based off of a prior fee structure, is pretty phenomenal. That in itself would be the primary reason, if I were a $250 million company, why I would accept Bitcoin as a form of payment.
Alex?
I would mention 2 advantages to the CEO. So first one is the company can ship globally. Like, it's not a problem anymore nowadays. We can ship to any country, but we can't easily receive the money from any country. Like in Russia, for example, they don't have PayPal. Not a lot of people have credit cards and so on. So by having a Bitcoin payment method, like the reach is much more than before. And the second advantage is that the merchant then can offer discounts, and more customers will come to him. And discounts is because, for example, when you pay with Visa or PayPal, there is 3 or 4% transaction fee, and a merchant can push this further to the customer. Like if a customer doesn't have to pay it, then he gets a discount, and more people would use this merchant.
Okay. Is it something that you guys are doing today on your website, basically offering a discount if people are using Bitcoins?
Right now we're not offering a discount, but I will definitely think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like to add that, just shameless plug, that we offer 50% discount for Bitcoin purchases, because it's actually that the cost of other payment methods is so big for us, and the amount of fraud that we have to deal with other systems, it's 50% even justifies that. And we have also quite extensive article explaining that why customer should use Bitcoin. So we are doing some education also.
Okay. Do you see a lot of customers getting to your website and then discovering Bitcoins and then having to be educated on making a decision? But to me, that's a potential issue where when you're going through the step of buying a service, you want to make sure as the merchant that it's a fast decision. You don't want to get the customer to think about that decision. So once you have the process of educating the customer, you may lose the customer within that process potentially.
That's true. It's a hindrance. However, still other options are available, so they can fall back to PayPal or credit cards. But Bitcoin is very hard to sell because when we suggest customers to use Bitcoin, they just say, why should I care? And it's caused by the fact that customers don't realize that the cost of payment processing is incorporated into the product price. And what Alexandra said, that it's basically these fees are already in the product price. And the most frustrating thing is that even customers who don't use credit cards or PayPal, they contribute to covering that cost. So that's why I think giving discounts for Bitcoin payments is essential to make people realize where is the problem. Because very often we try to push Bitcoin as a solution. Wow, this is this great, wonderful thing to people, but people have no incentive actually, because they don't realize that they pay huge premium for using such ridiculous system like credit card.
Okay.
Well, there is a discount that you are offering. It's a time saver. If you are checking out in Bitcoin, theoretically it can be faster than with a credit card. So you are saving time, and therefore it's an incentive. And it's a discount if you're using
it. I agree. This is of course this cost of new technology, and we still need to work on convenience.
Okay, but when I get to your website and I'm about to check out, and I'm not a Bitcoin customer, I still have to go back to an exchange and purchase some Bitcoins. Are you offering that link to make it smooth for the consumer?
No, actually, this is explicitly said that we prefer not to endorse an exchanges or anything, but we just emphasize that this issue is so important that everybody should do its own research. So it's more about, I believe that it's more to make people realize that they have problem, because for us, we eventually delegate this cost to customer of credit card processing.
Okay. So when you guys decided to implement the Bitcoin solution on your website, you were expecting new customers, obviously. How did you get the word out there that you were accepting Bitcoins?
Well,
is there like a mailing list or a magazine or someone else out there that can actually promote you as one of the merchants that is accepting Bitcoins?
Well, to be honest, I didn't believe that we get more customers or it will be a meaningful difference for us. It was just more for doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing.
And we were early adopters, so we just signed up on the Bitcoin wiki as one of the first merchants there.
Okay. And you got some significant traffic from it?
Well, that was, in terms of total number of customers, that was close to nothing. But yeah, there were some entries from there.
Okay. Alex, what was your experience?
We were featured on Techcrunch and also in the Bitcoin subreddit. There was an active discussion. Actually, we first launched only the Bitcoin payments for guests, And then during this discussion on Reddit, people started asking, well, why don't you offer the payout in BTC as well? So yeah, it was a very active discussion. After that, we implemented the payouts. And later, I noticed that people just randomly started recommending us, like on Reddit, to other people. Like, yeah, if you're traveling, check out the 9 flats. It was fun to see.
Okay. Since we're all trying to promote Bitcoin as a method of payment and exchange, shouldn't it be a central area where everybody could just announce that now they're accepted Bitcoins, and that central area would be basically that information would be sent to everybody, which is within the field. I mean, I know that no one here is about centralizing data or information or anything, but at one point, if we want to get the word out there, there should be a source that just spreads out the word to everyone that is in the business, quote unquote.
Well, community-wise, there is such place already on the wiki, on Bitcoin wiki, right? So there is a list of
but that's not for consumers. I mean, that's not only for consumers, although it's not consumer-focused.
Yeah.
Like the main channels, I think it's Bitcoin Talk and Reddit. But with such things, we also need to be careful. Like if people just start spamming their services like every day, like, yeah, we're now accepting Bitcoins. Like at some point, it just gets annoying. So I don't know, people should just come up with their own creative ways how to promote their service.
Okay. Well, let's go back to my role as a CEO of that company. I have a brand that I've spent years building, and today I hear a lot of things in the marketplace about Bitcoins. Good things, bad things, depending on which part of the world I'm traveling into. What is the risk for me as a brand, equity, to basically partner or be married with Bitcoin?
I would say the risk is no different than signing up with a merchant processor today. The risk level is the same. You've got to pick a provider that's going to be trustworthy, that's going to have a reputation that you believe in. I would imagine that as a $250 million company, you would do that type of evaluation no matter which merchant processor you chose. So I would look and I would, evaluate and choose the best one for your organization. The risks are different. The risk might be, per se, just looking at Bitcoin and the adoption. But then you've got the flip side. You've got the chargebacks, and you've got the credit card fraud. And you have to evaluate which is a greater risk, which one am I willing to take? So I think from an organizational perspective to evaluate it, I think the pros and cons probably equally outweigh each other at this moment. But as the adoption of Bitcoin grows, I think Bitcoin will have the greater advantage.
I couldn't agree more. I think the payment processor is really the mediator between the merchant and the technology. Bitcoin for a big merchant is a technology. It's probably not going to use it as a currency. Unlike the IT industry, you don't find the adoption in a large organization. It will take years before everybody agrees on using a new currency. Adopting a new technology is obviously a different proposition, and it's much easier for a large organization. So they will use Bitcoin as a payment network through a payment processor, such as BitPay or others. And that's not such a difficult decision then if the technology is there, it's stable, the volatility and the volume is there for the trading back and forth in fiat. It's using Bitcoin as a meta currency to accept payments from all over the world in one single network and payment processor. So it's a very efficient way for a large merchant that has outlets in many countries to use Bitcoin as a network.
Okay. I heard stories about hackers. Is there any risk if I accept 2 more Bitcoins on the website that I may draw some guys towards my database? People I don't want to see in my space, I would say.
Security is always a risk. I mean, you have, on the merchant side today, you have people stealing via PCI DSS compliance. You've got people taking the, was it Shoe Warehouse, or I can't even recall the name of the company. There was a company in the States. They stole the credit card IDs. I think there's always going to be that level of risk that's out there. But I think that as it matures and grows, people are going to become more sophisticated in levels of protection against those risks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that in case of Bitcoin, it all depends on implementation, because I agree this is a huge risk if the system will not be properly implemented, or basically if you store private keys on your server, that's just not the right thing. And we in security keys, we were very paranoid from the very beginning, so we just in the early days, we just generated thousands of keys offline. Private keys are kept in the wallet offline, and private keys are kept offline, and the public keys were uploaded to notification service. So it's in this setup, I can't imagine it can be more secure.
Okay. I'm going to have the whole company to agree on that project of accepted Bitcoins. How do I go about going to all the different services and promoting Bitcoins? Changing the culture, basically, of the company. Would I run into any challenges with my financial department, for example? Will I have any implication or issues with the customer service? Do I need to reinforce customer service? Do they need to look at customer in a different way? Will we have to handle issues we haven't handled in the past?
Definitely, uncertainty in the accounting space is maybe the problem. If you are running the company with a department which is not able to accept such thing like Bitcoin because there is no regulation, this is a huge thing. And for us, it's also uncertainty because of lack of regulation. We just have to use common sense and tax ourselves just based on how we think it should be done. So it's another risk, exposure to risk for future.
Yeah, there will certainly be difficulties, and we had issues with our accounting. Like when their accountant calls me and says, like, Alex, I need to do Bitcoin payouts. Like, how the hell do I do it? And yeah, like I just had to educate him and guide him through the process. It takes time. There will be difficulties, but I think it's worth it.
Great. You guys know that I have a relationship with this non-for-profit that is a global one. Just an idea. What if I go to them and tell them that if they're promoting our brand, telling their subscribers or donators that we accept Bitcoins, every time there's a Bitcoin transaction on our website, we will give them a percentage of that. That's basically the same concept as affinity credit cards, but it's not a banking concept, obviously. So that would, if I take a large non-for-profit out there, like UNICEF or another, that would give Bitcoin a really global exposure. That would give us more customer, more income, and them more funding for their organization. Would you recommend that? Would it be a good way to go out there and then kind of find a solution to the chicken and egg issue, which is there's not enough merchant and there may not be enough customers understanding that Bitcoin exists. It's a good thing for them.
That would be great. Plus, you have the possibility to donate a few cents with Bitcoin, so maybe they'll have a lot more donators through this system. So yeah, donations are certainly a great application for Bitcoin technology, if only because it's a wonderful micropayment system, and there is no, the low fees make it easy for such an organization to make the decision. Again, it's more cultural. The problem is how do you convince UNICEF, United Nations, to switch to a new payment system? They are not going to be the first to do it. It's probably smaller charities will understand the benefits of Bitcoin first, and then perhaps drag more charities in this sector.
Okay. Any other great ideas to promote this new venture for us out there to consumers or to media, to the world?
Any level of incentive as a business decision to draw a client towards you, whether it be giving low fees or no fees for a period of time, or even doing a charity donation, is a positive thing to incent them into the system. But once they're in the system, the Bitcoin economy has to capitalize on that recognition of that name brand that's been brought to the community. And it's not just going to take one name brand, it's going to take multiple name brands. And whoever it is, whichever merchant provider that's out there that capitalizes or captures that name, it's important that they raise the flag up and say, look at who we have, so that we can use that as a case study to bring more onto the platforms.